What made America great was that Americans were good. Americans once took care of all the needy within their society through charity alone. There was no welfare coming from the government. Madison was against public education. There was public education set up because they would set aside land that really nobody owned. It was when they were first coming across America. Madison set it up so that there was land in all the townships that was set aside for education. But the people were actually building the schools. The people were funding the teachers. There was very little tax dollars, taxing your neighbor to provide these educational programs in these what we call public schools, schools open to the public. It was still mostly privately funded. In some states, Massachusetts, they kind of fudged on the deal, and a few other states, but generally speaking, people knew that was not the way to go, to get government in charge of your education. You don't know your history, so you don't know how we progressed into what we presently have, and you have become accustomed to accepting the benefit of free education. Now they want free college education. I pointed out that America was great because America was good, and people sacrificed daily in all communities to help out the needy of their community. And they built schools, they paid teachers, and if you couldn't afford to help pay for the teacher, they still let you go to the school. And this was almost always set up through churches. Although it wasn't a church-owned school, it was a publicly owned school, but it was publicly owned because people donated their time, their labor, their money to make it work. That, to a tiny little degree, still goes on occasionally in some communities. But they have this mix of forced contributions and free will contributions, like the school up here in North Lake County. That was built on land not from the government, but donated by a private party to the government to build the school. Now, the school was built by taxing all their neighbors, and so now they're realizing that there are changes. They probably talked about it this morning at the early morning Bible study, and they're probably talking about some of this stuff because they fear the control coming from the federal government now, go force all their kids to have vaccinations. America was great because Americans were good. And Americans were good because they took care of the social welfare and the education and the elderly of their community. When, occasionally parents, they lose all their kids, they die or they don't have enough kids or whatever, and they may fall on hard times and somebody has to take care of them. And of course, that's what religion is how you take care of the needy of your society. Pure religion is to do it unspotted by the world. And when I use the word world there, I use the same word that Jesus used when he said, my kingdom is not a part of that world. Well, if you're using the world to take care of the needy of your society, guess what? Your personal kingdom becomes a part of that world. Christ would not do that. The early apostles would not do that. The early church would not do that, and were persecuted because they would not sign up for the social welfare of the imperial cult of Rome. Yeah, that's it. That's why they were persecuted. Now, they were also privately persecuted because of jealousy and envy, because their system was working and the Roman system of social welfare was breaking down. You're going to see that in spades. But anyway, so America stopped being good when it started coveting its neighbor's goods in order to get the benefits that it wants from society by way of men who exercise authority and implement the rule of force and violence in order to provide you with those benefits. And somehow or other, your church said that's okay. If you're not willing to accept the idea that it's not okay to covet your neighbor's goods, then I don't think God's writing on your heart and mind very much. You're going to have to erase some of that chalkboard before you can actually begin to see the truth. When you start walking in the ways of truth and righteousness, then you will end up with a cleaner and cleaner slate.